British-Pakistani comedian Salma Habib Lyons performed her first work-in-progress show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, where she puts her religion at the heart of her show. So stories of fallouts with her Muslim mother and how she navigates her husband's Irish Catholic family. So there's lots to unpack, and she does it all on stage at the Fringe. Let's meet Salma. Salma, there you are. Tell me, how are you doing? How you've just come back, or are you still in Edinburgh? How are you feeling? It must zap your energy, but also revive you at the same time.
Yeah, I've come back. I did a 10-day run. I was in 11 days in Edinburgh, and it was my first Fringe, my solo sort of stand-up, what is known as a work in progress, and it was exhausting for sure. But I've had a pretty great first Fringe run, which is pretty cool for a new act. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how it went.
I mean, congratulations, because I know as a comedian, when you're putting yourself out there, it can be nerve-wracking, especially taking part in the Fringe, which is huge. It's one of the biggest platforms out there to do it. How did your work-in-progress performance sort of go? What was the content that you were exploring?
So essentially, it is a show about me and my mother, but within that, I'm touching upon about being a British-Pakistani from a Muslim background, married to an Irish Catholic. I talk about my children. I talk about race. I talk about the conflicts and the competitions that happen in that space. So it's gone down really well. I mean, I had Soho Theatre came to see it, which is pretty cool for a new act. Yeah. I can't say too much. I had a pro comic who came to see it too. To be fair, I put it on my social media.
Share it with us.
That was pretty cool. And the audience reviews on the whole were really positive. And I think it's the first time I had a lot of British, Scottish, Pakistanis as well.
Oh, wow.
Coming to see the show, because that's the other thing I will say, if it's okay to say it, is that I am one of very, very few British Pakistani women on the circuit.
And I wanted to hear about your experience of being a British Pakistani woman on the comedy circuit in London. What's that like? Do you meet many other women like you who have similar stories to tell or similar comedy to share?
I think there are points of intersectionality for sure, like overlaps, right? However, I think one of the reasons why I'm doing quite well, and again, I know that's unusual for a British person to brag.
We love it. Keep it coming.
Exactly. But actually, I think I have quite a unique voice, because there are, the assumption is, and, I don't have any problems with my Indian brothers and sisters, but I don't think I've ever stood on a stage with a fellow British Pakistani woman on a comedy bill. I think I can count up to 5. But in terms of actually solo stand-up, I think there's about 3 of us.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I'm pretty new. Yeah, I know. And I didn't know that until, I think on the whole, I've been quite embraced. I've done really well for a short period of time, for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this with a family, working as a full-time teacher. So I'm definitely part of the hustle culture as well in London.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that's because the comedy scene is different in Pakistan? It's perhaps not at the same level that it would be in London or New York? Or do you think it's a cultural difference? Why do you think we don't see many British Pakistani comedians?
I think there is one of the experiences that I've been getting from Pakistani communities in particular when they come to see my comedy is that I think we still have traditional conventions about what a woman is perceived to be doing. I think that is changing in lots of the workforces. The British Pakistanis make up they're in so many different aspects and very successful in society. But I think the stand-up in particular is it's one of the rawest form of performing you can do. And so I think that, and also I don't think we have been fully supported within the institutions. There's not been the expectation that we can do this. And obviously I'm changing that to some extent. And I think again, it goes back to when people talk about South Asian, they're specifically talking about particular groups. And I don't think Pakistanis are necessarily put into the mix of that. But I think part of that is also, you know, I did come from a very traditional background. And I think on the whole, women have a very important central role in Pakistani families. Trust me, my mother is a formidable figure, as I describe her in my show. But I think in certain spaces, we're not meant to be loud. We're not meant to be projecting. But I think that's changing. That's changing for sure. Stand-up seems to be, I mean, look, I haven't done my research, but stand-up seems to be one of the last places, there probably are others, where there's not as much Pakistani representation. And I realised that when I was in the green rooms of a lot of the clubs and the circuit.
I mean, regardless of where you're from, entering into the world of stand-up, you know, it takes a certain kind of person. It's difficult, it's confronting, but if you're good at it, then it's an incredible life to lead. You recently featured in a BBC sort of film documentary about exploring your religious background through comedy. Let's talk about that. So what is it like? You mentioned that a lot of the comedy is about your relationship with your mother and about religion. How have you decided and chosen to explore that?
I think, obviously, from a funny perspective, it is more about the relationship as opposed. I'm a political comic. I'm definitely making political comments. Maybe more about racism that we've experienced, but I do it in a funny way. But I would say in terms of, it's more about the relationships within the families that I'm exploring, as opposed to making a commentary about my Muslim background. Does that make sense? So it's more about the interplay of relationships rather than a social commentary on the specific religion, because although I'm a political comedian, I'm very much about punching up rather than punching down, which in the current climate, I have a responsibility, I suppose, you know.
Do you think some people come and watch the show and either don't get it or perhaps disagree with what you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. But I get that. I mean, it's interesting because largely it's been positive. But the truth is that you cannot be liked by everybody. And actually, it's not just Pakistani people that have not necessarily liked my show. I have plenty of white English people who, before I've even opened my mouth, are folding their arms, you know, because that's the climate that we're in at the moment. And also it's being a woman, first and foremost, I would say. And then it's my background, etc. So the thing is, I don't want to be a people pleaser to everyone. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And that's good. That's okay. Because otherwise then you're just beige and you're average. So everyone has a unique voice on the circuit, the ones that are good in my opinion, and they're the ones that stand out. So that's the reason why I stand out, because I'm not trying to please everybody. I can only speak my truth in a funny way. That's it. And not everyone agrees with that, and that's okay. I mean, you know, I'm fortunate at the moment that I have enough of a cross section of the communities, different, as I call them, my tribe, who like my comedy. And that's what you need. You need to find your audience.
And did you say that you married an Irish Catholic man?
I have.
So then, I mean, there's a lot to unpack on stage, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. There really is. And the thing is, it's really interesting because my family and Sean's family, my husband's, They are so. I mean, like my parent, my family absolutely love Sean.
Oh, that's really good.
And I know, and I think, and Sean got to meet my nan before she passed away. She came over from Pakistan. And so my family is really, as much as I say traditionalist, they're in some ways so open-minded, but then to some extent, that's a very immigrant story, having to come over and open some of the doors that I can now walk through. And that's down to my family, really. And the traditional immigrant work ethic has definitely lends itself to the hustle culture. But I'm very fortunate in that my family have been very good with that. I definitely open the door for others as well.
Yeah, 100%. Well, when you said hustle culture there, having lived in Pakistan for a year now, I can see that in so many people, that hustle to, keep going. And what's your connection to Pakistan at the moment? And have you got anything that you feel particularly connected to when it comes to the country or the culture or the place?
I mean, obviously a lot of my connection comes from my family, first and foremost, my parents, especially. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're going to put this in or not, but it's okay. But I lost my dad in February.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. It was really hard. And
Yeah.
I was actually at Leicester Hospital when I found out. And so the connection to Pakistan has been quite. My aunt had come over from Pakistan.
Sorry, I missed that. Where were you when you found out?
I was at Leicester Comedy Festival.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so the comedian's life. And so I've had a lot of, obviously family have come over, and I've had this real intense experience of, I've had the funeral and just how beautiful, the prayers are, and just how the community came together. And obviously my aunts came over from Pakistan as well. So there's been that. My mum's obviously due to go out. She goes out quite a lot. I haven't been able to as much. And I had a real connection with my nan in Pakistan. She was probably one of the most enlightened. If my students ask me, I'm a teacher, if they ask me who inspires me the most, it's my nan,
Aww.
So.
And that is a big thing. That is a big thing, isn't it? I think perhaps talking about, the relevance of this is important because, and it informs a lot of your comedy, I imagine. But it is a big thing, and you can sort of help guide this conversation.
Sure.
To bring in someone from a different faith and from, a different part of the world, and family is it's such an important thing here in Pakistan, the family that you have and the family that you're going to grow.
Yeah, it is. And I think the thing is, I think with Sean, I think he's always been very respectful and of my family. And I think my parents never pressured him into my husband's a practicing Catholic. So, and again, people assume that we are not open-minded in that way, and my family have never had an issue with that. I mean, if anything, there seems to be a point of commonality, within that. And I think that's the point, is my parents have seen me happy, healthy, in a loving marriage. We've been together for over 25 years.
Wow. Talking about continuing, what do you want to happen next? So you've obviously had 10 days up in Edinburgh, testing out some of your content. Is it to now kind of choose what you would take to a show that you'll then travel with or host a number of different comedy clubs? How does it work? What do you want next?
So the idea is actually, the work in progress it did really well when I was in Edinburgh, and the idea is to debut it as an hour. So I have space to pad it out because I have to listen to the audiences. I'm very fortunate. I have a director, and so I'm in the process of applying and having conversations with particular theatres because the work already starts. I have another show in October that I'm doing in Surrey. which will form as part of an application, because the actual goal is to have a theatre production company that will take my show next year, because there has been a buzz around my first Fringe show. Other new acts may be watching this, they may not, and they will be aghast at my ambitious plan. But it's actually not a, it's doable, essentially.
Yeah.
So because of the run that I've had, it's unusual. I sold out. I had a good number of audiences coming in every day, which is unusual for a new act, because normally you have low numbers and you have cancellations, and I didn't have that for a whole 10 days. And it's like my director said, there's an appetite for the funny stories I'm telling.
Yeah, well, it must be also word of mouth. People have watched you and then will say, oh, well, she's playing here, we have to go there. I know the comedy scene is very much like that. What was the kind of, the area of comedy or the joke that you made that you think was received the best throughout your showcase?
Oh, gosh, that's a good one. Oh, my God, there's too many. God, I sound so arrogant.
I put you on the spot.
It's difficult to say. I think I think it's more about the themes they resonated with, I would say. It's just that, to be honest with you, my jokes can be a little bit on the edge, I would say, probably for television viewers. I would say come to my show. I think the theme of the mother-daughter relationship really hit home, and I think that's why everyone can relate to a mother or a mother figure. And so I think that was the thing that resonated the most, the competition, the ping-ponging between my mother and I, and the funny moments, and then making jokes about my relationship with the children and all those sorts of things. So actually, I think it was more, that's what I mean about there's an appetite for that. And I was really fortunate, because my audiences are not, everyone assumes they're all brown. That's not true. I have cross section, like I said, white, black, old, young. I had a really young book club that came to see me. They were people of colour, so it was just black and brown young men and women who, Edinburgh Book Club, who had done a vote to work out which act to come and see, and apparently I won. So the front two rows were just this cute Edinburgh Book Club.
That's so sweet.
I know. So, I think one of the things is definitely the fact that I'm doing well. The fact people are seeking out, interestingly, comedians of colour. I think the Irish and Pakistani is drawing in people.
Intrigue as to what you're going to explore.
Yeah, because no one else is doing it. So why not?
And that is that's the key, really, isn't it? Bringing something new to people.
Yes.
That's probably why so early on it's getting a lot of attention, is because it's so rare to find new stories. And thank you for sharing that story with us and waking up super early in the UK to come on and chat with us here at Morning Asia. We really appreciate it. And best of luck. Good luck with whatever comes next.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. There we go. That was Salma Habib Lyons. You can find her and her comedy online if you want to learn more about what she's up to. There we are. Right, it's goodbye for now, but on tomorrow's show, we hear about a convoy of 21 cars full of medical aid headed to the Ukraine from the UK. They're driving all the way. So tune in at 10 a.m. Pakistan time, GMT +5, to catch that interesting story about what's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. See you then. Goodbye.